Hey everybody, what's going on? Hope you've had a good Memorial Day.
Yep.
If you're in the U.S. and you had the day off and all of that.
Yep. So we saw this flip last night or yesterday.
Saturday.
2 days. Was
days.
it Saturday? Yeah, 2 days ago, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit kind of. I forgot we had to go to the club and everything. Shit kind of blurred together.
The weekend's one big drunken blur.
Yeah. We're gonna talk for a few minutes about the controversy and the reaction of the movie that you're gonna find online and certain things you're gonna hear. We're gonna talk a little bit about that, and we'll talk a little bit about the making of the movie, and the history behind the movie. And eventually we're going to get into a point where it's going to be spoilers. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, you're going to have to check out then. So for the first 10, 15 minutes, we're going to talk about stuff that anybody will want to hear. This flick is a solid flick. You're going to hear a bunch of crying, that doesn't have Mad Max in it, which it does. He makes a cameo.
It's a cameo appearance. And fun fact, that guy doing that cameo, that was Tom Hardy's stunt double from Fury Road.
Yeah. All right. How good is it? If you liked Fury Road, it answers a lot of stuff that Fury Road, the questions that were brought up in Fury Road. Like, who the fuck was Immortan Joe? How did Furiosa get tangled up with the breeders? And, how did she lose her arm? What was she doing with Immortan Joe? It answers all that.
Yeah.
Okay. You find out a lot more about Citadel and Immortan Joe, which confirmed a lot of my suspicions going all the way back to Fury Road, that Immortan Joe wasn't really a villain. I don't believe he is. Okay. He was a lot better than the other Wasteland dudes. He at least had vision. And his dudes were trying to recreate shit. And they understood art and beauty. Which the other dudes didn't. They were fucking total degenerates. The movie... I would place the movie right under Fury Road. Way above... fucking... Bartertown. What was it? What was one of
Thunderdome. Thunderdome.
What's that? Thunderdome. Yeah, a lot better than Thunderdome.
Yeah, I mean Thunderdome's the worst one.
Yeah,
and it's still good.
Still okay.
All of them are good.
Yeah, they're all okay.
But I think that's the least best one.
Yeah.
Thunderdome.
Yeah.
But it's still good.
Yeah. What you're hearing, I think this movie isn't doing too well at the box office.
But nothing is.
But nothing really is right now.
It still was number one. But
right.
It didn't make as much money as
it didn't really bring out a bunch of people. But I think the movie will have legs.
I hope so, because it's really good. It really deserves to be seen. Yeah. And on a really big screen.
Yeah. Even other channels that were kind of goofing on the movie and bashing on it, like Nerderotic and fucking Midnight's Edge, when they went to see it, they came back saying, no, it's a good flick. It's a good flick.
Well, see, that's why you shouldn't whine about stuff before you see it.
But they have problems with it. They think it should have been a Mad Max movie with Mel Gibson in it. All right, that shit ain't gonna happen.
No.
All right, and there's another history behind. If that does happen, that's gonna be maybe after this movie. There was supposed to be another Mad Max movie.
George Miller has talked about making another Mad Max movie.
Right, with one with Mad Max, maybe be as an old guy.
Maybe that's one of the ideas that I saw being thrown around. I'm not sure.
I think it would be cool to have an old Mad Max in this this version of the Wasteland, with him as a warlord. That's the only thing that really makes sense. Or him.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Him becoming a warlord.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah, that'd be a good story to tell. Let me see, what else can we say about this? Shit, what do you want to say about it, John?
Yeah, honestly, okay, so let's get this out of the way. Is it as good as Fury Road? No. But no movie is as good as Fury Road, to be honest with you.
But it's there.
Fury Road was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and it's just
awesome.
And you can't, and the thing about it too is that this movie, it has some of the same stuff, like from Fury Road, like the crazy, chase scenes and the stunts and everything like that. But it's a lot more character focused.
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool that they tried to George Miller is like, well, we're going to do some of the stuff that you loved from Fury Road, but we don't want to make that again.
Fury Road was one long 2-hour action chase scene.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was intense. This one's not. It's not boring by any means. It's just
not at all.
It's more character and story driven.
Yeah. And it's more epic in scope because Fury Road happened over a short time period. It was basically a chase, They were going out and coming back and stuff like that. This takes place over like 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. I guess it's 10 to 15 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Because Furiosa starts out as a girl.
Yeah, like maybe 10, 11 year-old
and it goes like through about a decade or so.
Yeah.
Until she's like in her 20s.
Early 20s, probably. Yeah. And she's not a Mary Sue. She's a fucking real solid female action hero. You put her up there with Ellen Ripley or fucking the chick from Terminator. Better, really. Better than those characters. It's not one of the kind of deal where you got a 100-pound woman beating up these 230-pound fucking bodybuilders, easily like something out of Sucker Punch. No, she's a 100-pound woman, and she gets her ass beat like a fucking 100-pound woman. I mean, she gets fucked up.
Yeah, a lot.
But she doesn't give up. All right.
She's very stubborn.
Yeah. Her strengths are not going toe-to-toe with dudes. Her strengths are that she's a real good driver. She's an excellent shot. She's real nimble. She can crawl underneath a vehicle and fucking crawl up chains and shit, because she was doing that when she was a Black Thumb. That's kind of a little bit of a spoiler. But she starts off as a mechanic and works her way up through the ranks of the war boys. She's a war boy, basically. She's one of them. She's, her status is a little bit different because she was kind of like moved up the ranks in combat because people got killed and she, and the guy in charge of the truck moved her up.
Yeah.
You're going to, promoted her as she went.
Well, and they thought she was a boy for a long time.
They thought she was a boy
because she was masquerading as a boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Which that's kind of a spoiler, but it's okay. So she wasn't born with some kind of superpowers or anything, and just she can do this shit just because she's a woman or that she trained, all right, to do all this stuff. The war boys taught her all that. They show her going through the training programs of how to build machines. Okay,
yeah,
that's how she built fucking her hand later on when she lost her arm. It's a revenge story.
Yeah.
The main bad guys is this huge fucking Mongol horde style fucking motorcycle gang.
Yeah, they're just called the Biker Horde.
The Biker Horde.
I don't think they call them that in the movie, but that's what they call them.
That's what everybody else calls them.
That's what the press thing calls them.
There's fucking a sea of them.
Yeah.
And they're cannibals. They're fucking bad motherfuckers. They're just like something out of the Road Warrior. And they're run by this dude named Dementus, who's played by the guy who plays Thor.
Chris Hemsworth.
And
he's great.
Great in it. He's fucking great.
He's great.
He chews up the fucking scenery. They got his fucking wicked fake
fantastic.
nose on him. He's in good shape. He you find out a lot about him. He has the biggest speaking role in this movie. And it's pretty fucking wild, the shit that they do. You find out a lot more about the wasteland, where their food's coming from, maggot farms and shit like that. They're eating maggot meal. All kinds of wild shit. You find out more about Gastown, Bullet Farm, and the Citadel, how they're run and who was running them, and why certain things were happening. Like, the Citadel couldn't just give out food. The people eater who was their big accountant, the Mongol horde's making demands on them, fucking we want this and that.
And they roll up at the Citadel,
they roll up,
not knowing anything about it.
And fucking the people eater's just like, nope, the numbers aren't there. It'll never happen because they can't produce enough to just hand out food and shit and water to wild motherfuckers out in the wasteland.
That just turn out.
Yeah, they can only take care of themselves and just narrowly, really. You find out more about the fucking war boys and how they do. You meet more war boys in this. It's good. Of how professional they were, how dedicated they were to Morton Joe. That it wasn't just some kind of flimsy war cult. They were trying to rebuild civilization and rebuild things of beauty, which are these machines and art. They show some of the paintings that they could do. They could absolutely reproduce a fucking beautiful. What was that? A Renoir? What was that?
Ooh.
It was
now I can't remember.
Beautiful French paintings. These dudes weren't just war, and it was one of the warlords, the dude that was running Gastown. Wasn't it Gastown or the Bullet Farm? He could paint better than a medieval fucking or better.
It was
than
the
a
first one that Dementis rolled up on.
Yeah, he could paint better than a damn Renaissance painter. There's just a lot of they tell you more about the breeding program that they had, how those girls were fighting to stay in it. Because they weren't giving birth to fucking normal children. Most of them were fucked up. They show them.
And the organic mechanic turns up in this too. And you find out how he gets to the Citadel.
Right. You find out how he got this, and fucking he was a pretty valuable dude.
Yeah.
Let me see. What else can we say that's not a spoiler? I fucking endorse the flick. I encourage you go see it, especially if you liked Fury Road. It's one of the better Mad Max movies. Mad Max isn't in it, but he doesn't have to be in it. The story's not about that.
Yeah, I didn't. And honestly, there is a character in it in probably like the second act, Praetorian Jack.
Yeah.
And he's also, I guess he's an Imperator.
Yeah.
And he's the one that kind of teaches Furiosa how to drive the war rig and all of that.
She's also his boyfriend.
And they have a little bit of a romance. They don't go too much into it. It's,
let you know he loves her.
Right.
She loves him. She fucking bends over backwards to fucking save him when he gets captured.
Yeah.
And it's, and fucking, I can't, there's shit there I don't want to spoil.
But the coolest thing, I'm going to say the coolest thing about this movie and about Fury Road is that so much of the story is told without dialogue. George Miller really is a master at visual storytelling. So a lot of the whole intricacy of the world, they don't really have to have a lot of exposition or anything, and some things aren't even really referred to. It's just shit that's going on in the background. And they're and we talked about this with Fury Road too. There's just all this stuff that's going on that's not really focused on or referred to, but it just kind of makes the world richer, it's a lived in world, and it really makes a lot of difference when you really get immersed in the whole universe of the story, you know what I mean, because of these little details that they put in.
I only had what I remember three problems with the movie. The score was not quite as epic as Fury Road's score, and some of it sounded like the same songs kind of recycled.
Well, they reused some of the same themes for sure.
Yeah, I heard, and I was it felt kind of like it cheaped out. I would like a little bit newer material in the score, because the score of the first one was fucking epic. Like that song Spiky Cars, and it's not a song, it's just the name of that track. Spiky Cars, so fucking I want to ride my fucking motorcycle to the fucking just limit of adhesion when I'm listening to that fucking song. Okay. Sounds like you're gonna die at any moment.
Yeah, it definitely does sound like that.
Yeah. So the score was adequate, but it sounded slightly recycled to me. The other thing I didn't like is that there's a thing that happens in the movie called the 40-day Wasteland War.
Yeah.
It was 40 days where the biker horde and the fucking Citadel went to a war with each other. And they show it to you in montage, and they just show the aftermath of it. And there's a voiceover, kind of like out of Road Warrior.
Yeah.
Where there's where the guy's saying, and the war continued. I really would have liked to have seen a couple key scenes from the Wasteland War, at least. You know what I mean? Like key attacks on something. And it felt a little bit like they had cheaped out. I would have liked at least 10 to 15 minutes of that.
This is a fairly long movie. It's
fairly long movie,
it's 2.5 hours. Yeah. It didn't feel that long to me, but...
Right. There is a bunch of fighting in it, and a bunch of stuff, but it's more situational. It's not quite as epic when Road War stuff happens as it was in Fury Road. But Fury Road, like I said, was just one long chase scene.
Yeah. This is different. This is the focus is different. So the tone is different, the pacing is different. Yeah. And like I said, I kind of like that they absolutely had a bunch of really, really good action set pieces. And they added some shit too, in some of the chase scenes, some of the cars had fucking dudes on hang gliders and shit like that. It's it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And the third thing that kind of I didn't really like is at the end of the movie when the credits were playing, they recycled alternate shots from
Fury Road. Yeah, I wondered why they did that. That seemed a little odd.
I thought it was odd.
Because the thing is, okay, so this isn't really a spoiler because it's a prequel. So basically, this movie follows, I think it's between 10 and 15 years, roughly.
Yeah.
From when Furiosa was a kid, maybe like a 10-year-old girl, up until she was in her 20s. And like at the very end of the movie, you get like the beginning of Fury Road where Furiosa is, stashing the brides in the war rig, like to smuggle them out. And so that's like the very end. So I thought, so we're watching the credits, and yeah, they were showing scenes like in the credits from Fury Road, and I was like, I guess they were trying to like show the continuity. It's like, oh, that's where the story went from there. But I was like, I don't know, it just seemed a little strange. And I was watching Half in the Bag, the Red Letter Media guys. They did like a 45-minute thing on this where they were drinking and talking about it, and they loved it, but they thought that was a little weird too.
Yeah.
They're like, I almost felt like they didn't believe in the movie, or they were like kind of scared to.
Yeah.
They're like, it kind of gave me that little bit of a vibe. But like I said, that was just in the credits. It wasn't.
Yeah,
really
I mean, what would have even
deal.
been better if it was just animated fucking shit from one of their cartoons or one of their comic books?
Right.
That would have been even better.
Yeah.
Or something drawings, or or nothing. Nothing would have been better. Just a black screen.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really need to put.
Yeah, I didn't really quite like that.
I thought that was a little weird.
It's
too.
not a perfect movie.
It didn't bother me that much, but I thought it was a little weird.
Not a perfect movie, but it's a good movie. It's solid.
I liked it a lot. I actually really want to see it again.
Yeah, we want to see it again.
The cool thing, Phantom is asking how much CGI and green screen is in this. More than Fury Road, but most of the effects, it
wasn't distracting to me.
I wasn't really distracted by it. A lot of people thought because like the trailer said it looked super CGI, but like the movie itself, there were a couple scenes that you could tell were CGI.
It didn't really matter though.
But it didn't really stick out too much to me.
The one thing that I could tell that was CG is some of the flying scenes. The motorcycle horde, they didn't have trucks there. They had some trucks, but not enough of them. So they didn't have polecats. If you guys know what that is, those are the guys that were on poles and on their truck, and you could use those poles to put your guys onto an enemy truck.
Right, yeah.
They didn't have that. So what they had instead is they had these guys that could ride on the back of a motorcycle, and their shoes, on the bottom of their shoes were cut off pieces of fucking motorcycle fender, just these little semicircles, like skis.
Yeah.
Shoe-shaped skis. He could jump off the back of the motorcycle while the motorcycle was running, and he was on the end of a line, and he would like he was water skiing behind it. But then they pulled something, and fucking wings opened up like an umbrella, and he became like a parasailer. And then they would sail over, and he'd let go and land on the top of the truck.
Yeah.
And it looked real. It looked real.
It did. That did not.
I think it actually
that
happened.
did not look like CGI to me.
Yeah, I think they were actually doing that. One of the main warlords, though, what kind of didn't look real, but I didn't give a shit. It had to have been CG. They had a motorcycle frame he had a motorcycle frame. I don't think it even had wheels on the motorcycle. I think it just had skids on it, I think. I'd have to see it again. The front of it, he had like 4 AKs fucking tied to it, and it had a hang glider wing on top of it, and I think it had a push motor in the back, kind of like a parasail. Or what do you call it? Like an ultralight.
Yeah.
And he was flying that thing around. Looking at it, I don't think that thing could have flown because it had a motorcycle frame and it had a tank and it had some saddlebags. I think it would have been a little bit too heavy.
Yeah, some of the stuff they probably had to do with CG because it was just like too crazy. But honestly,
it was a flying motorcycle.
Yeah, I mean the hang gliding shit and stuff that did not look like CG to me. If it was really good CG. Honestly, the only time the CG stood out to me, ironically, was in scenes that were not stunts or were not action scenes. Like sometimes there'd be a scene like with a sandstorm in the back, and you could tell that it was just green screened and they weren't really in a sandstorm.
And impossible mountains.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
That's the stuff that was.
It wasn't really the stunt stuff that struck me as CG.
They were probably erasing tracks and shit like that.
Well, that's what they did in the first one, like erasing tracks, erasing harnesses. that kind of shit.
But there's still a lot of that vehicle-to-vehicle combat. They show you some new shit. They have this war rig, and behind the main fucking cab is a steam shovel arm. But instead of having a shovel on the end, it's got a fucking grasping hand.
Yeah.
Like a fucking, like 2 fingers and a thumb. But they're just, hooks, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And if you got pulled up alongside you, they'd fucking grab you like that. And they show it. It grab a motorcycle with a dude on it. I think the dude jumped off, though. And then, he wasn't on it, I don't think, was he?
Well, it happened more than once, so I think...
It was grabbing motorcycles, and it was fucking throwing them underneath the wheels and running over them. Pow! Yeah. It looked good. It looked really good.
A lot of that shit looked really good.
Yeah, they definitely did that. I mean, they ran over a fucking motorcycle. It wasn't CD. It wasn't CG.
Yeah, like I said, it was mostly... The stunts looked real, mostly.
Yeah.
The CG stuff seemed mostly like background shit. Yeah. Like, it looked like background shit to me.
Yeah.
And, maybe some of the stunts were, but it didn't really. Oh, and, one use of CG, and this didn't even occur to me until I heard somebody else on another review mention it. Because remember, because we're seeing things from Furiosa being a kid. And so the actress that plays her as a kid, I think her name is Alila Brown, and she's great. The little girl. And she's in it for a long time. Yeah. Like, if Anya Taylor-Joy doesn't... turn up in the movie until probably 45 minutes in, now, something like that.
Now, some of the man babies, I'm going to call them man babies, because to me, they're a man baby, all right? They were complaining about, that little girl's in it for too long, and it doesn't get good until she's grown. And no, it doesn't. That's good when she's a little girl, too.
Yeah, that actress is great.
Yeah, and because a lot of shit happens during that point of the movie. Fucking, you meet a Morton Joe, you find out how he gets a hold of her. And Morton Joe basically saves her. He saves her a couple times.
From Dementis.
Yeah. Okay. That's why and Morton Joe and the guys of the Citadel are kind of shown in a more positive light. They kind of show you what was actually happening, what they were thinking. Compared to the other guys, they were fucking way ahead of the other guys. They were in the wasteland. If I was there, I'd be working with those guys. I wouldn't be working with the fucking horde. Because at least the Citadel was run with military precision, and they were trying to fucking bring back art and beauty and fucking, the higher... They were trying to have a renaissance, is what they were doing.
Yeah.
And they were trying to bring back mankind. And really, all these wasteland mutants and everything, they weren't going to be there for the ride, because they didn't live long enough. Most of his troops were half-lives. They all had cancer. They'd be dead in a few years anyway. That's why they were so... good kamikazes, they just wanted to go to Valhalla and die doing something good, which you'll see more of that in the movie.
Yeah, there is definitely some of that.
Yeah,
some of that in here too.
Yeah, they have a high priority of making things of beauty, which is those machines and shit. And they show you some of their training programs, which it's cool, man. It's real cool.
But when I was watching it, what I was getting to with that, like with the little girl playing her, and the transition from the little girl to, Anya Taylor-Joy, I'm like watching it and I'm like, at one point, because she pretends she's a boy, because there's a whole thing with, was it Scrotus or
okay,
Erectus?
Look, this is all going to be spoilers from here on out, probably. If you don't want hear any spoilers, you can check out. But, yeah, one of
Morton Joe's sons, the big dumb musclehead.
Yeah, he has the body of a god and the mind of a child. He's mentally challenged, and he falls in love with that little girl. He's real
and tries to kidnap her.
Well, he's real. I don't know if he tries to kidnap her. He just
he grabbed her and took her. Yeah, and took her into his.
Yeah, I don't think he was looking at. She had these tattoos on her, and he was trying to figure out where she came from. I think, but he's definitely in love with her, because they were mental peers, really. He's just a big child.
Well, she was smarter than him.
Yeah. But she runs off from him. He was just looking at these tattoos. What is that? He kept picking at her hair and stuff. And she ran off, which gave her an opportunity to kind of like escape the breeders, because she was going to be a breeder. They call him a wife. That's what they call him.
Yeah, that's what they exchanged her for from Dementis.
Yeah. Well, And Morton Joe sees that little girl, and he's like, "Who's that?" Because they were negotiating this settlement. And fucking Dementis is saying, "Oh, this is my daughter," and fucking
not really.
He was lying, And she goes, "Well, who was the wife? Who was your wife?" And he's lying. "Oh, she was the most beautiful thing ever. She was a full life and this and that." And he calls the little girl forward, and he goes, "Is this your father?" He goes, "No, it's not my father. He butchered my mother." And he goes, and part of the deal, fucking with Morton Joe said, "Okay, I'll give you what you want, but you're giving me this child, and you're giving me the fucking organic mechanic."
Yeah.
All right. So they went into his custody, and he put her into the breeding program. Now, the breeding program with the wives, they show it to you. It's in a big vault. They're breathing clear air. They're getting an education. It's kind of like a Renaissance classical education. And they're living the high life as far as the fucking wasteland goes. All right. They're super pampered. They're also kind of ahead of everyone else because they've received kind of like a formal education. Most people didn't. They had a policy, though. It was a 3 strikes you're out policy. If you got pregnant 3 times and the child was unviable, you had to go. And they were fighting to get out. They show what happens. One girl gives birth to her 3rd baby, and it's just a head with 2 bodies.
Yeah.
And they go, "Well, 3 strikes you're out." And she's, please don't let me go. And he says, don't worry. We're gonna move you over to make you a milker. And you'll be
because mother's milk, that's a big thing too.
Yeah,
so you had to go over.
Yeah, she just had a baby, so she was lactating. So, because that was one of the things that they would use to make food.
Yeah,
it was just another source of food. They didn't have cows; they were all dead.
Yeah, so they were all drinking human milk.
Yeah, so that was kind of like the second best job for a woman like that was to be a milker, because you got good food and you lived in a fucking good environment. The Citadel was laid out, and they actually got food. Fruit and fucking vegetables. They got meat, but I don't know how much of it was animal meat. I think they were eating humans.
That was the implication.
Yeah.
They didn't really say that. Well, they did show the biker horde.
The biker doors were straight up cannibals.
Being cannibals.
Yeah.
Oh, and they were also eating horses because at the very beginning they were butchering a horse. Because remember they had like a horse head and horse legs like on the back of their motorcycle, and they were going back.
They were also eating maggot meal.
That too.
They would grow maggots in a bunch of dead bodies and fucking take the maggots and turn them into protein.
Yeah.
And they were being issued that.
Right.
And there was a certain amount of protein they needed. They were getting issued a day if you were in the Citadel. So it was probably mostly maggots that they were eating. Maggot meal.
And they kind of showed for a second where they were getting that from too.
Yeah, they showed where they showed where maggot meal was made. Nasty.
That was pretty fucking nasty.
Nasty.
Yeah, there's some gruesome shit in this. There's some kind of gruesome
but
shit.
all realistic. That's how
it was. Yeah. But yeah. So no, what I was gonna say, then we went way off my point because we were talking about CGI. But so the little girl is in it for probably, like I said, the first 45-ish minutes, something like that. And then, but what they did is that after she escapes from Morton Joe's son, she shaves her head and pretends to be a boy, and then she kind of works her way up as a mechanic, right? So she learns all the shit, learns how to build stuff and everything like that. So they didn't really realize where she'd gone, so she kind of keeps in hiding. What they did was that over time, like as time is passing in the universe of the movie, and I didn't even realize that they did this because at some point they show her and she has like a beanie cap on and everything, and she's doing war boy type shit, and I was like, that looks like Anya Taylor-Joy's face kinda, but she's small. She still looked like a kid. What they did in the movie was that as time went on, they digitally made the actress's face that played the little girl and Anya Taylor-Joy's face. They like made them closer and closer together, like as time went on, so it looked like she was actually growing into that person. And it's like really, really subtle. So you don't even realize. So that's like kind of the best use of CGI because I didn't even realize it was CGI. I'm just like, what? I was like, wow, that looks like that little girl, but also kind of looks like Anya Taylor-Joy. I'm like, wow, they did a good job of that. So the transition would look natural, like she would look like she was growing into that adult.
Now after the little girl, she's probably about 10 when she escaped from the or Furiosa, when she was a little girl. She was about 10 when she escaped from the breeding pod.
Yeah.
She started fucking hanging out with the Black Thumbs. The guys that were kind of like mechanics. She was impersonating a boy. She was being one of the ones where they kind of like run the chains and lift and raise vehicles.
Yeah.
She was doing that kind of shit. And she got notoriety. She was probably about 11 at the time, maybe 12. They were lifting up a tow truck, and it busted loose, and it was hanging by just a couple chains. And one of the foremen was on it, and he's fucking nearly fallen off, and he's in the damn. That was it a tow truck, a wrecker, or did it have or was it a steam shovel?
I thought it was a tow truck, but
I think it was a tow
wrong.
truck that had a steam shovel fucking thing in the end.
Yeah, something like that.
Because I remember he was fucking hanging by that steam shovel trying to get in. And all these dudes are fucking telling each other to go down that chain and go get that guy.
Go get him.
Go get it and
they're
fucking
like,
hook the truck back up to save the truck. And the first guy goes, no, send somebody little. And they fucking brought up this scrawny dude, and they're like, no, not him. And then they pointed at the little girl. They didn't know she was a girl, though. And they sent her down there, and she fucking ran down that chain, slid down that chain, and got on that truck as it was swinging. And they threw her a metal cable, and she's trying to hook it up in the thing. Now, the dude that was on the truck, the foreman that was on the truck, he fell.
He fell, yeah.
He tried to save her, but it happened too fast. And she saved the truck. And nobody else would go down that chain. She did, though. So that's how she started to get promoted.
Yeah.
Because she was real nimble. And as a mechanic, as a Black Thumb, they show her on a war rig. She was real good at jumping down through little holes in the vehicle and fucking crawling upside down underneath that moving truck, fixing stuff. She does a bunch of cool shit in there. The bad guys attach a bomb to it. She goes in there and tries to figure out how to get that bomb off. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then later on uses the bomb against them.
Yeah, so that's like what her strengths were. She's super clever, she's super resourceful, she's super
real agile.
Yeah. And small.
Yeah.
So she can like get into these little tiny spaces, and she climbs really good and shit like that.
Yeah. And she's a super good shot.
Yeah, that too. Which that tracks, because that's what Furiosa was in the later movie as well. But yeah, it's so what I was gonna say something else and I totally forgot what it was. Phantom Acid was if there was any nudity in the movie. I don't think so.
No, I don't remember. If there was, I don't remember.
I don't remember any particular nudity in this, no.
Now, I've also heard some man babies saying, man, these women would not survive in the wasteland, all kind of bullshit. Because in the biker horde, there were women in there.
Yeah.
They were getting beat up, too. One group got captured, and Dementus made them all fight each other to the death and took only the best ones. And then they had to fucking kill their leader.
Yeah.
To save their lives so they could join the horde. He says, I would have accepted you freely, but you resisted, all kind of weird. And then one of the fucking bad guys you see repeatedly is this woman with her fucking tore up ass face. She was a good looking woman, but her face is fucking tore up.
Yeah, it's like all fucking, her mouth is all fucked up and scarred and shit.
Yeah. And she's tough as nails, just fast, real fast. Fast and fucking evil.
And a good shot. And evil, too.
Yeah. And she's in there, and people are like, that would the fucking original Road Warrior. This is the one that they're always fucking lusting at. We're going to see Road Warrior again. Humongous' fucking army was about 50% women.
Yeah. Somehow they forget that, though.
What's that?
Somehow they forget that.
They forget that, yeah.
I guess.
And then fucking his main lieutenant was gay. He had a boy on a damn chain.
Yeah.
And then that fucking boy had a girl's name tattooed on his arm, so he wasn't even willing, I guess.
Like I said, it's like I don't know why they forget.
They forget what those movies were like.
Those movies were.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I remember when Fury Road came out, and there was like all of this whining about it's like, well, Mad Max isn't even the main character. Furiosa is the main character. I was like, have you seen any of the other Mad Max movies?
Yeah, you didn't see the other movies?
He's like a Ronin. Yeah. He just kind of comes in and helps out other people, and then moves along.
The movie all these fucking man children are fucking lusting after is basically they want to see Road Warrior again. But if you see Road Warrior, Max is not really the hero of Road Warrior. The gyro captain is.
Yeah, well.
He's the one, he saves Max 2 or 3 times. He fucking upholds his end of the bargains. He He actually appreciates women, and he ended up fucking taking the tribe to safety at the end, and he was more like a classical hero. Max was an anti-hero, depressing ass motherfucker.
Yeah, he just never wanted to get involved, and he was like super cranky,
right? And then he, brooding and mental problems and shit.
But
he couldn't leave it behind.
Yeah. And what I was gonna say in this one too, and I think like some people have complained that it's like Mad Max isn't even in this one, which like I said, that's fair. He's not. Like there's a cameo of him like with his with his interceptor. Like standing on a ridge, like looking down and going, I wonder what's going on down there. You've seen him for and that's, like I said, that's Tom Hardy's stunt double from Fury Road.
Yeah, it implies that Max saves Furiosa in a certain point. But they don't show it. But
they don't show it, but it is the implication. Because, like, the next scene is she's somewhere else. And
like she had been rescued somehow.
Yeah, like, so you're meant to assume that, that he rescued her. But there is a Mad Max type character, like I said, in the form of Praetorian Jack, who is a guy who works for Immortan Joe, and he's the guy that drives the war rig.
And he trains her.
And he kind of trains her because he kind of likes her spunk, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? Because she's real...
Well, she's cute, too.
Well, that always helps. But, I mean, he sees something in her that's like she could be really good at it. So, and they have, like I said, a little bit of a romance kind of thing, too. So he's kind of like a Mad Max type character. And the thing about it that I liked was that the relationship between the two of them, and like I said, I don't want to make it sound like there was some big love story or something like that. It's very subtle, and it's like, it's done really well. There's not a lot of dialogue about it. They're not like talking about it or nothing like that, but you can just see from just the way that they act around each other and the way they do things for each other and stuff like that. And it's not a huge portion of the movie. But the fact that they had that in the movie makes Fury Road better. Because now that you know that happened, like what happened back then with Praetorian Jack, a person that she cared about, and he was like the only person that seemed to care about her. The fact that happened to him, like that informs Fury Road. Like when she meets Mad Max in Fury Road, like later on down the line, that like makes that a lot more poignant, I think.
And they get in this fucking jam where they fucking basically attack the bullet farm, and the bullet farm was kind of like occupied territory. They were attacking it to try to fucking get it back from Immortan Joe, kill fucking Dementis. And Praetorian Jack basically does a kamikaze attack against him and signals fucking Furiosa with a smoke bomb to fucking leave him, to run.
Yeah.
He goes in there and he fucking kills a bunch of them and shit in the truck, and he's just by himself. And he falls into their fucking clutches eventually. Well, he tries to come out of the truck, but anyway, she didn't leave him. She went in there and fucking got his ass out anyway.
Yeah.
At great risk to herself. She was doing a bunch of sniper stuff, hiding behind things and slipping around. Real good. Great scene. And she does get him out of there. But during their escape,
but it doesn't work out too well.
During their escape, the Horde runs them down and captures them, and fucking Praetorian Jack dies a fucking horrible death, and fucking she's forced to watch it.
It's bad.
Yeah, and fucking, it's good, man. And then you find out how she loses her arm.
That's about
Yeah, and fucking she ends up narrowly escaping when they weren't fucking. I think they were asleep, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were just watching the shit, and they were kind of,
They had her hanging by that arm.
Because her arm
had been smashed during her fucking road wreck.
Yeah, it was broken. It got like crushed.
Yeah, and they were hanging her by that arm. And when they woke up in the morning, there was nothing but that arm hanging. She gnawed it off, I guess.
Yeah, or like yanked it up, like that fucking movie 120 hours or whatever it was.
And she made it back. Her fucking arm was all fucked up. And then over a period of a few months, she heals back up. She makes that mechanical arm because she had been trained to do all that shit as a black thumb. Yeah. It had a little 2-stroke motor in it. She could pull it down like that, and the motor would start running, and it would power the claws. She could fucking just snip. It was like a power snipper.
Yeah.
Snipping fucking metal cables and shit when she needed to.
I love also, and I don't know, I mean, I'm sure you probably picked up on this, but it was doubly tragic. I mean, losing your arm sucks enough. I mean, you knew that she was going to lose her arm at some point, because obviously in Fury Road she doesn't have an arm. So you knew that they were going to address that. But what makes it doubly poignant is that that's the arm that had the tattoo that she made of the star map to the green place.
Yeah.
And she lost it.
Yeah.
So that explains a lot. So that's what I mean about this movie being a rare prequel that actually makes the earlier movie better.
Yeah.
Because you learn so much stuff about it. It's not just a case of, oh, look at this. This is how she lost her arm, and isn't that funny, and stuff like that. They actually do add a lot of resonance to stuff that happened in Fury Road, and you're like, oh, yeah.
Is it as epic as Fury Road in terms of all the fucking choreography, fight choreography, the chasing? No. But it's a fucking solid flick. It's a different kind of movie.
Yeah.
It shows much more stuff happening. So I guess you could say the universe has expanded out a lot more.
Yeah, big time.
So it shows you more. There's a lot more dialogue in it.
Still not a lot, but
there's a lot more than
Chris Hemsworth has most of the dialogue, I feel.
Yeah.
Because, Furiosa doesn't talk much at all. Right.
And it explains that world better. You get to see more of what it is, of how desperate the situation is. You know. None of this shit's normal. It would be normal under that situation, though. There's just no fucking food or no water or isn't anything. And honestly, like you said, it's at its heart, it's a pretty simple revenge story. I mean, she's basically just trying to get home,
trying to get home, and trying to get back at Dementis, who crucified her mother.
Yeah, we cooked her too.
Yeah, well, that also.
Yeah.
Again, a very horrible death. It's a pretty gruesome flick when you think about it.
And there's a lot of good...
A lot of gruesome shit. Oh, and what she does to him at the end, I don't know if I want to spoil that. That was pretty fucking great. That was pretty fucking great.
Fucking, there's some good moments, man. The fucking horde shows up at the Citadel. They're all down at the bottom, fucking, and they're making all these demands. You come out of there, you know. And fucking Dementis is fucking... His public speaking skills are real good. He's like, these bosses, all they do is just take, and they never give anything back to the people. So he's like, I'm your liberator. That motherfucker's not your liberator. Okay. It's all just lies.
He's crazy.
It's all just fucking lies, okay, to get you to fucking follow him. And he fucking makes this demand, you know, fucking to the Citadel, and the Morton Joe's out there, and fucking all these war boys are up on top of these cliffs and fucking running down these damn poles and shit. Gotta be fucking 2,000 or 3,000 of them. And fucking, he's making these demands to Morton Joe, and Morton says, he goes, before this goes any further, you must pick one of my warriors at random. Just pick one at random. And he's like, what if I don't want to pick? And he goes, then you'll never know the truth. And he goes, well, he's kind of a coward. Well, I don't want to pick. I'm going to have my, what do you call them, Smeg pick. And they had these things called Smegs, which were mentioned in the fucking in the first one, you know. That one bride called fucking Max a Smeg. A Smeg seems to be a clown,
I guess,
or a jester, because they all had these jesters, and like, so he goes, I have my Smeg pick, and he's picking that one right there, and they're pointing this one. He goes, yeah, and he goes, yeah, that one. And that fucking dude's in fucking Morton goes, you're awaited, you know. He goes down there and fucking takes a couple of those explosive poles and fucking puts it on a fucking wire and fucking slides down off the top of that cliff and jumps up through the air with two of them things and fucking does a kamikaze attack right on this fucking dude's motorcycle. Yeah, just fucking blows up about 5 guys.
It's fucking awesome.
And fucking Martin Joe says, that's just one of my warriors. You see what my Half-Life war boys are fucking capable of. You're a fool for even coming here.
Yeah, and he said any one of them would have done that.
Yeah, any one of them will do that. Fucking, and then like, the whole crowd was in the audience was like, yeah, you know, it was quite cool.
And Dementis is like, oh shit.
Yeah, and he's like, oh shit.
We wandered into the wrong neighborhood. Clearly.
Yeah, I didn't know that these dudes are fucking kamikazes. That was a real good one. And there's another good war boy scene where the fucking horde is heading toward. They're trying to look for the green place, but they find a war boy. And he's a dude, and he's a black guy, but he's painted fucking white, and he's got a fucking crossbow bolt stuck through his fucking head. Yeah. And he's out there with a big old fucking smile on his face with the silver teeth and the fucking spray paint in his hand and shit like that. And he goes, am I in Valhalla?
He thinks he's dead.
He thinks he's in Valhalla. And they're like, what's Valhalla? You know what I mean? Anyway, he goes, we're looking for the place of abundance. You know, and he goes, what's abundance? He didn't know what abundance is. Abundance is a place that has everything.
You know,
you mean the Citadel? He goes, I will take you. He just thinks everybody his friend because he's been lobotomized. It was fucking funny. He takes him to the Citadel, but they get fucked up at the Citadel. Yeah. Later on, you see him, he rejoined the war boys, and that fucking crossbow bolt was pulled out of his head. He just had a big old fucking smile on his face. he thought he was dead. He thought he was in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. What's abundance?
Yeah.
That wasn't in their vocabulary.
Yeah, they didn't. So they had to keep explaining like what that was.
Yeah.
Because he thought, like I said, they knew that because they had Furiosa, and they knew that she came from a place of abundance because she was healthy and had all her teeth and everything like that. And the guy that had kidnapped her had got her from there. And then they all got killed somehow, like, on the way back. So they were trying to get her to tell them where it was so they could go raid it, but she wouldn't tell them.
Yeah.
So then they were trying to, like, ask other people, like, random people who were trying to figure out. But that's how they ended up at the Citadel, because that was another place. But see, Dementis and them, they didn't even know the Citadel existed prior to that time.
You get to see Gastown.
Yeah.
Gastown's a fucking mess, bro. Looks like a refinery sitting on a lake of fucking crude oil. It's got a moat of crude oil around it. I think it's just crude oil coming out of the soil. And it's like an apocalyptic fucking mechanical wasteland of just rust and pipes and shit and fire. It was quite cool. Quite cool. And according to the characters in the movie, Gastown and the Bullet Farm sucked. You didn't want to live there. You wanted to live in the Citadel. Conditions there were bad.
Well, especially after Dementis took him over. He didn't know jack shit about running anything. Because that was kind of one of the things, like, after he took him over, everybody was, like, started rioting because he was just, like, he didn't know how to run anything.
He didn't know how to run anything,
Right. Because he was just... And actually, I really liked, because even though, like, Immortan Joe is in this, but he's not in it a huge amount, because he was, kind of the main villain or big bad or whatever, like, from Fury Road. So I like that he was in this, but the main villain in this one is Dementis, and he's a completely different type of villain. He's a completely different type of dude than Immortan Joe is. Like, he's very, like, he's funny. He's kind of funny, but he's also clearly, like, a sociopath. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's just very overconfident, and it gets him in trouble a lot of times. But he's also just completely, like I said, just completely psychopathic. Like, he's just dead inside, I guess. But he just kind of comes across as just, like, this very boisterous, like, overconfident type of dude. But you could totally see why. He's very charismatic, though. So you can see why all of these people would follow him.
He's faking it till he makes it.
Right. That's essentially. So I like that they had this, him being the main villain. He's not anything like Immortan Joe. No. Because if they had had two villains that were too similar, I don't think it would have worked. But he's completely different.
Immortan Joe, the people eater, and what was the guy that ran the Bullet Farm, the judge guy? I think they called him the judge, didn't they?
Yeah. What the fuck was his name? Yeah.
They actually were competent. They knew their shit.
Yeah.
They were skilled. No, this guy's not. He's just an
idiot.
I wouldn't say he's an idiot.
Not an idiot, but you know what I mean.
He's a fucking big evil biker. He can talk a mean game, but he doesn't really have any skills other than talking a mean game and fighting.
Yeah. Like I said,
he can't run a high civilization.
He's super cocky. Yeah. Like, his whole main thing is, I'm just going to march in here and take this shit.
Take this, and this
but then he doesn't really have any...
You can't run it.
He doesn't really have any plans beyond that point. Right. I mean, we kind of love that he had a fucking chariot that was pulled by 3 motorcycles.
Yeah. That was another fucking cool thing.
That was fantastic.
He's got this fucking chariot that's mechanically connected to these 3 motorcycles that he controls with reins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's awesome,
and it's real.
Yeah,
it's real. It's not.
It's awesome.
And the motorcycles, the lead motorcycle in the center, has got like a fucking 8-cylinder radial motor, like maybe out of a fucking Focke-Wulf or a fucking or fucking like a World War I aircraft. It's radio. It's just a radial engine. The other ones I think look like kind of huge, bored out, big bore BMW Boxer engines is what they look like. I think they were just 2 twin cylinders with the cylinders sticking straight out either side. They might have been a 4. Were they 4-cylinder or 2 cylinders? I think they were 2 cylinders.
I don't know.
I remember thinking that those were BMWs, but they're all chrome. And that bitch just rides up on a fucking chariot like that, and he's got all these fucking millions of fucking bikers with him and shit.
Like he's fucking Zeus or something.
Yeah, like he's Zeus. He had a parachute. He was using it as a cape.
Yeah.
He carried around a teddy bear. It was strapped to him.
Yeah.
That was what he had when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Fucking funny.
Yeah, there's a whole thing with that teddy bear.
Whole thing with that, yeah.
With the teddy bear. But yeah, I mean, he was like, Chris Hemsworth was great. I'm not gonna say he stole the whole movie.
Some people say he did.
But
yeah.
I mean, he's really good. And I think this might be, please correct me if I'm wrong, but this might be the first time he's played a villain. But he should do it more often.
Yeah, he's good.
Because he was great.
Yeah, the costumes are real good.
Like, he's over the top, but it's Mad Max.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's over the top. That's kind of the whole point.
Yeah. Well, he's a wasteland lord.
Right. Yeah, he's like a warlord.
He's a warlord.
You have to be, like, over the top and ridiculous and scarier than everybody else and more ostentatious. You know, that's just how it works. And honestly, I'm going to say, Anya Taylor-Joy, I think she killed it.
I think she did a good job.
I mean, I totally bought... She doesn't look that much like Charlize Theron, but I totally bought that was the same character. When she talked, she almost sounded like Charlize Theron. Like, it almost sounded like her voice. And I was sitting there, I was watching the movie, and I thought, did Charlize Theron, like, dub her voiceover? Right. I don't think she did, though. Like, I didn't see that, you know, because I think a couple other reviewers asked that, too, but I looked it up, and it doesn't seem that was the case. So I guess Anya Taylor-Joy just did her voice.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like the same character. And she doesn't do anything, because Anya Taylor-Joy is a tiny, tiny person.
Yeah.
You know, she maybe weighs 100 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
But she didn't do anything in this movie that I didn't buy.
Yeah. She's not overpowering guys that are much bigger than her or anything. She's real wily.
Yeah, if she wins, it's through avoidance, shooting, climbing, driving, that kind of stuff.
She killed a lot of dudes with a damn SKS rifle.
Yeah, she's like a super good shot.
Yeah.
Which, you know, like I said. And I think that was kind of the cool thing about Charlize Theron in Fury Road, too, is like she didn't do anything that you didn't believe that she could do, like with her body type. So, you know, yeah, she punched dudes and stuff, but it wasn't a thing where she was beating up like 300-pound muscle dudes or anything like that.
No,
like
she got fucked up every time they fucking hit
her.
Too.
Yeah, and honestly, she gets
beat up a lot.
And Anya Taylor-Joy gets her ass beat.
Yeah.
In this movie, lots and lots of times. Well, because like I said, she's a little girl when she starts out, but you see over time, because she sees her mother die. You can see from that point on, and even the little girl that plays her as a child, you can just see in her eyes, like, how that's affected her and how she's just gone completely stoic and fucking hardcore from then on.
Another thing of why she survived, which I heard some of the guys complain, how could she have survived? They show you how she survived.
Yeah.
She was a full life, and she was pretty.
Yeah.
Those warlords protected her as soon as they saw her because she was valuable.
Yeah.
You know,
because she was a healthy.
She was healthy female, and she was pretty
which
little
they
girl.
Didn't have a lot of those.
Right. And he was, you know, fucking. What's his name was. Dementis was bragging. Oh yeah, I kept all the other guys away from her. She's fucking pristine, you know.
Yeah.
And because she was valuable, so that she survived by that. She wasn't a mutant. Because a lot of the other ones are mutants.
Yeah. And that would absolutely in the universe that this movies create, that would be a valuable commodity.
Yeah.
So it's not like everyone was even bad guys and stuff were trying to keep hold of her because she was a valued commodity.
Yeah.
You know,
more than Joe saw her and was like, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
Immediately, who's that?
Because you didn't see girls like that.
Right.
And the only ones you did see were already in his vault.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Like, that were already, like, breeders. Wives.
And the organic mechanic was with her at the time, but he was one of fucking Dementis' guy. And he said she is A1 prime, what is it? Prime double A full life female. She's perfect. That's fucking... Didn't he say that?
Something like that.
And he did some explaining. So he goes, "Who are you?" And he goes, "I'm the organic mechanic." And he goes, "Okay, I want both of these."
Yeah, because he's like a doctor.
He was the doctor.
Kind of.
Right.
He
was a doctor.
Yeah.
Because he was delivering babies.
So they needed him.
Yeah, yeah. He was just a self-made doctor.
Right. Mike says, heard this movie is bombing at the box office. It's
not bombing. It's the best one route right now. They're all bombing.
That's the thing. It's sort of like none of the movies that came out this Memorial Day weekend are doing as well as they expected.
Yeah.
This isn't doing as well as expected, but it still came in at number 1, though.
Yeah, it's a great flick.
It's really good, and I kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe this will be one where people, because we're probably going to go back and see it again, because I want to see it. We saw Fury Road 6 times in the theater. I don't know if we're going to see this one 6 times. I don't know if I can afford that, but because that was when we had A-list, so you could watch 3 movies a week, for just like a low monthly fee. But I would absolutely see this one again, because there was a lot of stuff. There's a lot of this was true of Fury Road too, but there's kind of a lot of biblical symbolism in this too.
Yeah.
That I kind of feel like I might have missed a little bit of.
But it's not flopping. It's just none of the movies are doing that well. There's not a lot of goodwill, I think, from Hollywood in general. The economy's not doing well. This movie is not promoted very well in terms of, like, a lot of promotional material makes it kind of look like fucking, maybe, like, what do you call them? What's the fucking term that they use? Like a boss bitch movie. It's not really. It's pretty realistic of what a 100-pound woman would do. She got her ass beat, but she's fucking pretty quick.
Got her arm torn off.
Got her arm, yeah. So it's not the kind of movie a lot of people would jump to think, oh, this is going to be like a Barbie or something. Or this is going to be...
These are 2 completely different movies.
Yeah, or it's going to be kind of like something from the Marvel universe where, fucking Captain Marvel or something. No, it's nothing like that.
Yeah,
it's a Mad Max movie.
She doesn't have superpowers. I mean...
Right. It's
she's good at shit, but she doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah, and they show you how she got good at shit.
Right, yeah. And like I said, I bought everything in here. There was nothing in here that I was like, oh, come on now. There was nothing like that.
Yeah. Well, there's a tone of fucking over the top tone to the whole fucking movie.
All of the Mad Max
all
movies
like that.
had that.
But it fits with the tone, and But anyway, it's a solid action flick, very solid. It's not as good as Fury Road,
but very few movies are, to be fair.
And that was just one big long chase scene. This movie isn't like that.
This one's not as propulsive.
Yeah.
I mean, that one was just like one fucking long, intense action sequence. This one has intense action sequences, but then there's kind of more character development because, like I said, it's set over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that they did something different with. They didn't just make Fury Road again.
Yeah.
They had aspects of that, but there's also something different, and it's like filling stuff in and making Fury Road better, because there was because they're filling in gaps in that story.
You got some dudes bitching that Mad Max isn't in it, but he is in it. He's in it for a few seconds. Okay, he makes a cameo, but it's not important to the story. Then they want to bitch that fucking Mel Gibson isn't in it. All right, he's just not. All right, it's just a side movie, but it's a solid side movie. This is much better than fucking Thunderdome.
Oh, much better.
It's much better than Mad Max 1. Okay, now it's hard to fucking go against fucking Road Warrior. That's a classic flick. I mean, and the writing's really good in that. But it looks a lot better than it's a different story. It's a different story. I really liked Road Warrior.
Like I said, all of the Mad Max movies are good.
Yeah.
All of them.
And there's
I like
really
all of them.
Nothing out of character from this versus the old ones. Like, you got dudes bitching, oh man, there's fucking, how could these women survive in the wasteland? Go back and watch Road Warrior, and they'll show you. Half of fucking Lord Humongous's army were girls. Biker chicks. So, and then the captain was fucking a fucking aggressive leather daddy who had a boy on a chain. Okay? So anything that...
Why do these dudes hate
that
women
shit
so
come
much?
out today, they would say that shit, well, it's like woke or something. No, man. That's just the way the movies were.
It's just nobody cried about it back then.
If you're gonna
now everybody fucking cries about it.
If you're gonna be a self-sustaining army, you have to have women in there, or you're not gonna have a breeding population. And you don't want a bunch of dudes running around without women. You got to have a
That's
woman.
A recipe for disaster right there.
Yeah. So a lot of times
we all know that.
When you're talking about shit like the fucking Mongol type army or whatever, in their journey they just kind of pick up women, capture they're captives, you know, and the next thing you know, their relationships are going on. You know, that shit happened.
It's just how it
history.
Is, sorry.
And a lot of these wasteland warlord dudes and all the fucking soldiers and shit are the upper crust of the society at that point. Because most people lived down in holes in the ground, fucking breeding maggots and eating them, and they were fucking mutants. They didn't live very long.
Yeah.
And they're not really focusing on that, but they show in the new movie how average people lived.
Yeah.
Average people lived like shit. That's how bad it was.
As they would.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much.
They basically lived in underground caves that had a bunch of dead bodies in it, and they grew maggots. And then they would harvest the maggots and, I guess, turn them into basically hamburger and eat that.
Yummy.
So they lived in fucking putrid fucking filth.
Hey, protein is protein.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah. But you looked at them, their faces were all distorted and their fucking teeth didn't line up and they were fucking mutants.
They're all fucked up looking.
They were all fucked up looking. That was the average.
I think that this movie, from what it said in the trailer, I don't remember if they said this in the actual movie or not. They might have said it at the kind of voiceover at the beginning. But this is supposedly 45 years after the collapse, right? So there's still like radiation and stuff. So, but yeah, what I was going to say is that I totally forgot what I was going to say. I had a whole thing and then
they said Tom Hardy's back arch should have had a cameo.
I mean,
that'd
right?
be fucking awesome.
Oh,
Dean's
and
in there. What's up, Dean?
Tammy asked if we saw previews for the Bike Riders. We did actually. We saw a preview for it when we saw this movie, and we saw a preview for it, I think, when we saw Late Night with the Devil too. That actually looks really, really good, and I am very, very excited to see that. I'm not really sure. I don't remember when it comes out, but yeah, I totally want to see that. Also saw the trailer for Beetlejuice, which I'm ambivalent about. I kind of want to see it, but I don't know. Maybe I'll wait till it comes to streaming. I'm not entirely sure if I want to pay to see it in the theater. It might be good. I don't know. But I couldn't really tell. But here, okay, so what I was going to say is that I think one of the things, Mad Max Fury Road, despite it being probably, easily one of the best action movies of the last decade, it got all this critical praise and stuff like that. It didn't do that great at the box office either. I don't think it lost money, but it wasn't like a big blockbuster. So I kind of feel like maybe this might go the same way. I don't know if it wasn't marketed that well. I don't think they really did a big push on marketing it. Maybe they think it's too niche. It's not like a really big, IP that a lot of people are going to go see. It's a very particular kind of thing, which I get that. And maybe, too, like, people might be sick of, like, prequels and sequels and stuff like that, and might have thought, oh, this is just like another cash in. But what I was telling Tom before we started the show was that George Miller started writing this story like back in like the late fucking 90s or some shit like that. And matter of fact, he had the script for this before Fury Road because Charlize Theron used the script for this to inform her character in Fury Road. And they were actually going to film them both back to back.
They should have.
And put them out like soon. But again, like pandemic, development hell, like all this other stuff happened and it didn't happen. So they just ended up making Fury Road. And then 9 years later, they made this one. But they were going to make them much closer together.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the problems that they're having with this one right now would have been solved had this come out 5 years ago. Or 4 years ago. It's been a long time.
Yeah, that's what the guy on Half in the Bag said that too. Like maybe it should have come out 4 years ago.
Should have come out 4 or 5 years ago because you got to strike while the iron's hot. And Fury Road's kind of cooled off over the years. Had this been year one and then 2 years later come out with this, I think it would have done a lot better.
Yeah. I had forgotten, but like Fury Road came out in 2015.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years ago.
I think this will do well. I think it'll have legs. I think it'll get better because word of mouth actually propels a lot of movies. It's so much better than like fucking Rotten Tomatoes or fucking... So I think word of mouth... Because even the channels that kind of bagged on this movie and riffed on it, like Nerd Erotic and fucking Midnight's Edge, they saw it. When they saw it, they'd come out and go, you know, though, we're fucking with you. This is a solid movie.
Yeah.
They said it's a very solid movie. They just kind of disagree with. They said it should have had Max in it.
I didn't even really care about that.
I didn't really give a shit.
It didn't need Max.
I don't really give a shit.
Like I said, they had like a sort of Max-ish type of character in it for a little while.
Yeah.
That, you know, showed her how to drive the war rig and everything.
I actually don't find Max that interesting. I mean, I grew up with that character.
Yeah.
And really, there's only one good movie with him in it, and that's Road Warrior. Mad Max 1, he's not the best thing in Mad Max 1. The best thing about Mad Max 1 was probably fucking like fucking the Goose. I think the Goose was a little bit more interesting, and the Toe Cutter. All right? Yeah. Max was kind of just not that... At the end of the movie, he starts to get a little bit interesting, but he's kind of boring. And in Thunderdome, I thought Thunderdome fucking sucked because Max didn't have that interceptor by that time. So you didn't see much car action. You saw a big train action, but not much car action. So I'm just not real fucking emotionally connected to the Mad Max character. I mean, that character is basically a generic Western character. Yeah. I mean, that's the dude doesn't say much.
He just sweeps into town.
Fucking looks glum, does his shit, and leaves. Well, shit, man.
Looks glum,
does his shit. Oh, man, he's such a fucking, you know, silent man. So mysterious. That's what fucking Clint Eastwood made his whole fucking career on. If you want that, just watch some fucking Clint Eastwood movies.
It's a trope.
It's a trope.
Yeah.
So...
And a lot of samurai movies are like that, too.
Mad Max did not make Mad Max interesting. What was interesting about the Mad Max movie was the world.
Yeah, it was the whole universe. Everything around him.
Right.
He was like the least interesting thing about it.
If you watch one of the best ones with him in it was Road Warrior. Really, fucking the Gyro Captain is a lot better dude. He's actually acting more. He's got more lines. He's a good quality human being. He's more like the average dude who's just trying to fucking get some cool shit done, you know. So what made Mad Max, even at his best, interesting was his sidekicks and the villains.
Yeah.
You know, without Lord Humongous, that movie would have never been any good.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Fucking, you know.
The villains are always
just walk away.
The villains are always
we have too much of that. And then Wes, the fucking leather daddy with the boy on a chain.
Yeah.
Fucking right. That's some wild shit, man.
That was so cool that back in the 80s, that turned up in other movies like Weird Science.
They had to keep fucking bringing that back.
Because it was such
Nowadays,
a thing.
they'd be like, what's all this woke LGBT shit? Man, that was in the originals.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
So quit your fucking
that
crying.
was fucking the earth. The world has become basically a maximum security prison. And that kind of shit's going to go on. You're gonna put a bitch on a chain, whether he's a man or a woman. He's gonna be on a chain.
We got
you think he's pretty, you're gonna put a chain on him.
don't want him running away.
They didn't. They're degenerate. They didn't give a shit about consensual shit.
So we got a super chat from Dean McCaskill. Haven't seen you in a long time. Yeah, because he just said, long time no see, Tom's jacked. So it must have been a long time.
It must have been. I've been jacked for a long time.
Because, you got jacked like a couple, how long? So,
about 3 years ago.
Probably 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, send us a super chat.
Thank you.
Canadian dollars.
Okay.
There's nothing like the old days of amazing smashing up cars for real, though I don't think that happens anymore.
Yeah, it happens in this. They smash up.
Yeah, they smash up all kind of cars in this.
It's not CG. It's real.
Yeah, there is some CG. There's more CG in this one than there was in Fury Road, but
they showed more flying stuff in this one.
Yeah, and to me, like I said, most of the CG seemed like mostly background shit, and it's like not so much the stunt shit. I mean, the stunt shit looked mostly real.
Yeah, it was about the same.
It looked mostly real to me.
And I'm not sure if the parasailing stuff was as real as it looked. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Dudes were jumping off the back of the motorcycle and fucking going through the sand. They had these special shoes that they could ski off behind the motorcycle. And then a fucking parasail would come up and they'd go up in the air. And then they'd fucking go over and then drop themselves on top of the truck. On top of the war rig. That's because they didn't have polecats like in the first one.
Because like I said, it's like...
And I think it might be real.
It didn't look CG'd to me.
Yeah.
It didn't look CG'd. Like I said, the only thing that looked CG'd to me was just shit that wasn't stunt related.
Yeah, background stuff. And,
like background type stuff, like the sandstorms and things.
There's a part where there's a big, huge smokestack made out of fucking brick, and it collapses, and there's a dude, Chris Hemsworth, fucking hanging off of a fucking platform on the side of it, and he rides that fucking debris all the way down. It looked real, but I'm pretty sure that was CG. I don't think they'd let a real man do that. Remember that when
I would hope
smokestack collapsed and he was hanging off the side of it?
They're like, we can let you do it, but we can't insure you.
On some kind of metal walkway, and he jumped off of that and then landed on the walkway.
Yeah, some of the stuff that was CG'd, probably they couldn't have done it with a real person because it would have killed that person.
Yeah.
Like, and even stuntmen don't want to do that kind of shit.
So, I'm just... If you look at the comments on any of these fucking naysayer fucking videos, the dudes that have actually seen it defend it. They go, no, it was a good flick.
Every single review I saw, and like Phantom, this is weird because he said Chris Stuckman channel ripped it a new one. He did not. I watched Chris Stuckman's review, the spoiler review of it, and actually he really liked it. I don't know if you were talking about this movie or a different movie that somebody was talking about earlier. But yeah, every review that I saw of it was actually like really, pretty much universally, they're like, well, obviously it's not as good as Fury Road because that was like one of the best movies ever. But it's really, really solid. And probably, actually, the guy that writes for RogerEbert.com, he thought it was one of the best prequels ever made. Because it made the earlier movie, like, better.
Even Critical Drinker. Is it Critical Drinker? I think it is a channel name. We've seen him a few times. I think it's called Critical Drinker. He, same thing. He normally fucking trashes movies. He liked this one.
I liked it too. I liked it a lot. Like I said, I want to see it again, to be honest with you.
His question was that why didn't it come out earlier? It probably should have had Mel Gibson in it. It probably would have done even better.
Yeah.
If Mel Gibson was in this, he probably would have got fucking $1 billion. Just making a statement and putting Mel Gibson. A lot of his old fans would come out. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Maybe not. Maybe nobody would
care.
Not.
Maybe nobody would have given a shit. I think if you're going to have Mel Gibson in a Mad Max movie playing Max, it's going to be old Max, and he's going to have to be a warlord by that time.
Yeah, he's got to be old Max.
He's not going to be some dude in a fucking Falcon, XB Falcon riding around. He's going to be a warlord. Or he wouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
An old guy's only going to survive that to that age and that land right there by being in charge of shit.
Yeah. Or being, like, valuable. Like, because they show in this one, like, the old guy that was, like, the historian who had, like, all of the knowledge, like, tattooed on him and, like, written on his clothes and stuff like that. Like, so, and I think somebody even says that. Didn't somebody say that to Furiosa, like, at some point, that it's like you have to make yourself valuable somehow? Yeah, I think the old guy says that.
The old guy says that. He says he can make her a historian.
Yeah.
They didn't have laptops, so they had these dudes that could explain things to them.
Yeah.
They're like historians and encyclopedias. I forgot what they were called. Scries or something like that? Was it
yeah, I thought they just called them historians, but I could be totally wrong about that. Yeah, Dean said, so real stunts in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, there is some CG, but most of the stunts looked pretty real to me.
Yeah. They're real stunts.
Yeah.
They were really crushing motorcycles and running shit over and fucking cars doing flips.
Yeah.
They were real in Fury Road, too. It's just there's not as much of it.
Yeah, because
the story doesn't need it. There's a bunch of other stuff happens.
It's more a character-driven story.
The only thing I only had 3 things against the movie. I'm gonna repeat it if you guys are just joining the show. In the ending credits, they used some footage from Fury Road in there. I'm like, why is that in there? They shouldn't have put anything from Fury Road in it because it's almost kind of like they're trying to get more mileage out of old footage.
Yeah.
I didn't think that it needed that.
It didn't need that.
All right, I didn't like that. It seemed to be that they kind of reused the score from Fury Road. It sounded like the songs were the same at certain points. I have to listen to it again, but I'm not convinced that was an original score. I think it was based on the older one.
Well, it might have just been a case of this is a direct prequel, so they wanted it to all be of a piece. Because I do kind of feel like you could absolutely watch this and then watch Fury Road, and it would be like one long movie.
Yeah. And then one of the bigger things, those are two nitpicks. I just get the only thing in there that was like, man, they shouldn't have done that, is towards the end of the movie, the story sets up a huge conflict between the fucking dudes of the Citadel and the biker horde. And it goes into a montage with the historian doing a voiceover about warfare and that wars have been fought forever, and they start talking about the fucking, shit in the medieval era and World War II, and then they said, but this is the beginning of the fucking what is known as the 40-day Wasteland War. And they kind of show it in a montage and with a little bit of voiceover. And then they show the aftermath, all these dead bodies everywhere. They're eating the dead shit,
bodies, sure.
Recycling stuff. And it's kind of, I would have actually liked to have seen at least just like a few key battles in the 40-day Wasteland War. It seems like there should have been about a 10, 15 minutes of fucking showing us that war. That would have been a lot better.
I mean, you could argue, if you wanted to, that like all of the other Mad Max movies, this one leaned into the mythology aspect of it, as in, this is someone telling us about the origin of Furiosa. And so, I guess they were just kind of like papered that over because that wasn't really anything to do with her.
What you could do, I got the Fury Road video game. It was good. It kind of repetitive, but it was very good. You could release a video game called the 40-Day Wasteland War.
Oh, maybe they will.
And that would be really good. Or make a movie. But a video game of the 40-Day Wasteland War would be even better. And you could canonize it to where you're Morton Joe's forces and there's certain fucking things that have to happen in different campaigns to win this war over a 40-day period. That'd be great.
I have heard that George Miller was kind of pissed about the video games because the video game developers pretty much stole all the ideas from his Furiosa script and like some of the other Mad Max scripts that he wrote a long time ago and didn't give him any credit for it.
They didn't give me credit for it, okay.
So he's a little mad.
Maybe that's why they never updated that game. There was supposed to be a bunch of expansions.
I don't know if he ever sued them or anything like that, but I think that's why he was pissed off about it, because they took a bunch of his ideas from the screenplays before the movies got made and used them in the video game. So
that game was pretty good.
Yeah, everybody loves the video
It was pretty
games.
good, yeah. It was got a little bit repetitive after a while, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
You could change that game. I thought they were going to release expansion modules for it, because the map looks like it keeps going, but it never unlocks. Game ends.
They're like, well.
It looked like they were going to expand it out. And you could tweak that nowadays. There's so much more computing power than there used to be just 10 years back. So, you could make a fucking badass game even better now. But I'd like to see something that was more epic, where you're managing armies. That'd be really cool.
That would actually be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dean said there was a scene in Max 1, the bike rider slides into a guardrail hard. You don't see that stuff anymore, was my point. So much more dangerous seeming. Yeah, and I think there was that one scene where the dude flew off the motorcycle and went flying through the air and he broke his leg, right? Yeah, and they used that. They used that take too.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah, they all got hurt.
Yeah.
They all got hurt. And
honestly, in Fury Road, the first time I saw Fury Road, I was amazed that nobody got fucking killed.
Yeah.
On that movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, they were wearing safety harnesses, and then they erase them out with CG.
Yeah, but
and
still.
And also, they're not moving as fast as it seems to be. There's a way to trick the eye.
Yeah.
They were moving, but nowhere near as fast as you think they are. Guys were falling, and falling off the trucks and shit. But if you know how to do a PLF, I mean, you train in the military, and those dudes are all trained real well to do those movies for Fury Road. You can fall off of a fucking truck, off of a car, in the sand, going 25 or 30, and if you know how to hit and roll, you won't get hurt. I mean, I came off my bike at 70. I was fucked up, but I was wearing armor.
Yeah.
And that was on fucking asphalt, or, tarmac.
Phantom says there should be a stuntman and stunt woman Hall of Fame. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why they don't give Oscars for that. They totally ought to. I feel like stunt people are really like underappreciated.
Yeah.
I like that Anya Taylor-Joy. I saw like a little bit of a interview with her about this movie, and she actually she did some of the stunts herself, but she gave huge props to her stunt double, which I thought was really nice of her, because a lot of actors don't even acknowledge. So I thought it was cool that she brought it up.
But I give the movie 2 thumbs up. I think it's a solid action flick. It's going to be probably the best action flick of the summer, so you might as well just go see it.
I would imagine, yeah.
And you want to see this bitch in Dolby.
Yeah, we saw it in the Dolby theater.
It's got real good audio. It's big fucking screen. It looks good. I don't know what it looks like in fucking the regular standard HD, but in Dolby theater it looked real good. Sounded good.
Yeah, it just rattled your insides around.
I enjoyed the story. It's different than Fury Road, but it's still good. It answered a lot of the questions I had.
Yeah, and like I said, it gave like a lot more resonance to her character.
Yeah. So
it really like kind of retroactively made Fury Road better as well.
And you find out more about the world. There's a lot more world building. So you don't really miss not having Mad Max there, because you're not thinking about that. They're showing you fucking what's happening. You're like, God damn, they're eating maggots,
Yeah, it's like, wow, it would suck to be them.
Yeah,
I guess they don't know any different. High Desert said, next movie I want to see is Maxine. Yeah, I want to see that too. I can't remember when that comes out. I saw a trailer for it when we saw Late Night with the Devil. I want to see that movie, The Bike Riders, too. The new Tom Hardy one about the Chicago motorcycle gang. Remember we saw the trailer for that?
Phantom's going to know what some people are comparing the CG in this to something about the line. Look, man, this is all man baby shit. I didn't see anything unusual about the CG.
Yeah.
All right.
Some of it was noticeable, but like I said, it wasn't anything in the stunts that I noticed.
Yeah. It's not in the stunts, it's backgrounds and fucking maybe like mountains look pretty big. But there was nothing that took me out of a movie. It's just like any other movie.
Yeah.
They're all kind of like that now,
Yeah.
But the stunts and everything were good.
Yeah, I mean, I was really into it. And like I said, I really liked Anya Taylor-Joy in it, and Chris Hemsworth was fucking...
Yeah.
He was outstanding.
Yeah.
He just makes a great villain.
Yeah, a lot of times when these dudes get into the CG, to me, I think most CG doesn't look that good. But I just accept it now because it's kind of normal.
I mean, you can't really...
You can't
one person bitching about it. Yeah. That's just the way the world is now, so please just deal with it.
Yeah, and you just... Once you see, like, Sharknado 5 and shit... worrying about CG is kind of like a douchey thing. It's like, you remember back in the fucking 80s when CD came out, and fucking before CD, and they had these dudes that were audiophiles, and they only had to have certain kind of $5,000 amplifiers with fucking the fucking special phonograph needles, and fucking they have to have the special fucking clear fucking master cut of the fucking Dark Side of the Moon, and if it's not that, then it's shit. Those dudes were all fucking homos, man. They were fucking full of shit. Okay, I gave a fuck about audio quality. I really didn't care. I mean, it gets to a certain point to where you can't tell that it's any better.
Yeah.
And what it was like snottiness.
Yeah.
My stereo's worth more than yours. It costs more than yours.
And nobody in the lakes being around somebody that's snotty
geeking
like that.
the fuck out over all this fucking...
It's tiresome.
Yeah, and I'm going to play Alan Parsons projects next.
Yeah. Nobody wants to hang out with those dudes.
Out here. That's basically the same dude that's talking about CG.
Well, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of CG either. I always like practical effects, especially in horror. Yeah. But as long as something's not taking me out of the story, I don't know. Yeah. I don't complain too much. I'm not that much of a complainer. And honestly, people that complain about everything just make me tired.
These stories are fantasy.
Right. So.
None of this happened. Okay, they're just telling a story. So I really don't care about what it looked like, as long as it was acceptable.
Yeah.
To me, as long as it didn't take me out of the story.
Yeah, which it never did.
Right.
So I wasn't really that worried about it. So like I said, I'm just not... I don't know. I really liked this movie a lot.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was a solid flick. It's going to be the best action flick of this year.
I imagine it probably. Yeah. I would be hard-pressed to think of anything that would beat it, but we'll see.
And it's probably not going to make a lot of money because none of the movies are making money. There was 2 other movies that just came out that were supposed to be really solid, and they just fucking bombed. And everybody who normally shits on movies said no, they were pretty good. One of them was League of the Gentlemen, something extraordinary, fucking about some spies. I saw the trailer. It wasn't something I would see, but they said that one was good. They said The Beekeeper was fucking awesome. Nobody saw it. They said that was like one of the best movies.
I remember seeing the trailer for that.
Yeah,
a couple of times.
What was that guy's
name? Statham.
Jason Statham. They said that movie was fucking great.
It looked pretty good from the.
But nobody really saw it.
I mean, it looked like a big, dumb, fun.
And I think a lot
movie.
of it has to do with this. We've got a shitty economy. Hollywood has kind of lost the goodwill of the people. A lot of average people just don't like them, you know. So they don't want to, and people are just kind of don't want to give money to people who hate them, you know. And if you they think Hollywood hates them, you know. So they're not gonna spend any money on them, you know. They kept insulting them and shit about fucking being bigots and fucking voting for Trump and shit like that. And they said that this movies are not for you. These movies are for good people and fuck you and, you know, and Barbie and whatever. So they just said, okay, well, fuck Hollywood. You know, they don't care. So really the only people that's going to be hurt by that is fucking Hollywood and the movie theaters. You can't fucking insult half your customer base. You got to remain neutral, especially when times where there's so much division. But, you know, they'll go out of business and somebody will replace them. That's all that'll happen. I mean, fucking Americans don't really need to watch American movies. They'll watch fucking Japanese movies. That fucking Godzilla movie was fucking awesome. Godzilla -1. And there's going to be good little independent flicks.
Yeah, there's always good art being made. Yeah. So that's why I find it really annoying when people just kind of complain about, oh, this sucked and that sucked. I'm like, there's good shit. It's just like, just shut up and go find it instead of whining all the time.
Yeah, but I do agree a lot of the fucking Hollywood is a huge fucking evil fucking huge evil operation that has no real fucking talent, and they make shitty movies. They don't have any imaginations, and to get anything made with them, you got to say, well, it's going to be kind of like Jaws mixed with fucking Close Encounters. You're going to love it, you know. They're just kind of like corporate fucking bean counters, and they're going to come up with stupid shit. And almost everything Hollywood has made over decades sucked. They're forgotten. We only remember the real good shit. And then you go back and look at that so-called good shit, it's not as good as you remembered it. Temple of Doom's not that good. Neither is fucking Terminator 2. You know, sorry. Go back and watch that shit. Watch it critically. It's not that good. But they're going to hold that up as like, you know, oh man, mind-boggling. Jaws was good. Jaws 1. Terminator 1 was good. Predator was fucking a masterpiece. Predator 2 wasn't. The rest of them were okay. I liked Predators, and when that came out, people dinged it. They didn't like it.
I liked that a lot.
I liked Predators, yeah. On the planet, on the fucking hunting planet, I thought that was quite cool.
With Adrian Brody in it.
Yeah, but you know, you got.
I love Adrian Brody. I don't know why.
People that want to piss and moan about that, and then the fucking Alien versus Predators. I liked them just because they were just extra movies. They had the fucking monsters in.
They were all right.
Yeah. But Alien versus Predator 1, you couldn't see anything. It was too dark. Well, it was too dark because the fucking special effects sucked.
Yeah, they were like, let's just turn the light down a little bit. We'll cover that.
So you really couldn't see, you know. There's a reason why. It was a low-budget movie. But they were fun stories, you know. The fucking Predator game warden trying to stop the outbreak. I think that was part 2, if I remember. Yeah, of the fucking Predalien.
CB said The Beekeeper was fantastic.
Yeah.
Tom and Jenny, you will like it.
Yeah.
We saw the trailer for it a couple of times, and I said, that looks pretty fun, actually.
Yeah, they said that was fucking great. But it bombed. Nobody saw it.
But like I said, and the thing about it, too, is I think that, especially after the Marvel movies, I think people were kind of a little bit sick of these big tentpole action spectacle type movies. I think people just got fatigue.
Yeah.
Maybe they were just tired of seeing those.
Well, they're also expensive.
Yeah, that too.
People don't have the money to drop $50 on the fucking movie night. $10 boxes of fucking candy and shit. And fucking, you know, the theaters are too expensive. You know, if you had if the snack bar was actually reasonably priced, you'd get a lot of people in there.
Yeah,
I think you would. Yeah,
probably
selling candy and shit. If it was like only $1 more than would it be anywhere else.
Well, they actually sell. Well, the AMC theaters actually sell actual food and booze.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
but it's way overpriced though.
Well, yeah, but that's because the profit margins for movie theaters are very, very thin. Yeah. So that's where they make most of their money.
Well, the reason why the profit margins are kind of thin though is because they don't have the traffic that they used to have. You have to bump the traffic up.
Yeah, I mean
fucking, I'd put a buffet in that bitch. Watch what happens. put a fucking buffet in there. You'll have every fat ass in the fucking state down there watching those damn movies.
I mean,
we go to the movies, we get a free buffet, whatever. Oh,
yeah, make it like a Vegas.
Yeah, for a $10 buffet. Yeah, you'll have every fucking fat ass in there.
That would be funny.
Yeah, the movie business would get a lot better.
Then you have to like hire more employees to like clean up after everybody. Because that would be a huge mess.
Me and Jen would go. Oh, hold on! You buy a movie and then you fucking pay an extra $10 on top of that for all you can eat Chinese buffet in the theater. Fucking right, we're going, man. Let's go get fat. Fucking right. All right, but they don't think like me. They can't think.
Yeah,
like
I would
me.
totally do that.
Hell yeah.
You'd have like
outsource that shit to the Chinese, man. Fucking they'll work,
Because we actually went to Koi Wan Chinese buffet before we went to the movie, but it's not in the movie theater.
It's not in the movie, but
it's like 10 minutes down the road.
You put the fucking buffet in that movie theater, you'll make all kinds of fucking money. Yeah.
You could have a food buffet and you could have a candy buffet.
Yeah, yeah.
You could have
and it's unlimited trips, so you're watching a movie and you say, "Hold on, I'm gonna go get some more."
I'm gonna get a no gallon of M&Ms.
Yeah.
Or so like they bring
crab wontons.
You bring back a fucking popcorn bucket full of like Raisinets.
My theater would have a fucking health risk warning that it's gonna be like warning. If you come to this motherfucker more than 3 times a week, you're gonna get fat. All right, your cholesterol is gonna be all fucked up. Stop. A whole fucking soup bowls of butter. Dipping the popcorn in the fucking butter.
Bowls of butter. Yeah. That sounds delicious.
All right, so.
All right, we should shut up now, probably.
Yeah.
Because I need to get something to eat, and we have to check on little Pookie.
Yeah.
Her little.
Her ass glands exploded.
Her little ass gland exploded.
Yeah. She was bleeding all over the place. We were fucking trying to wash her. We probably should wash her again.
Yeah, we should need to wash her butt again. Poor little thing. I got like the spray stuff to put on her butt, but I don't know. So it was a whole thing. It was a day today. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She had a little ass explosion, so so I have to put the little spray on her butt. But yeah, so I know that's a cool way to wrap things up. All right, so thanks everybody for dropping by. Thanks for your super chats. The show Wednesday night will be, I've been wanting to do a show about this for a long time. We're going to be talking about phrenology. Yeah. If you don't know what that is, that was the weird pseudoscience from the 18th and 19th century where they thought that they could predict your personality by the shape of your head.
I can't.
So that's what we're gonna do a show about. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty funny. I mean, it's kind of tragic too, but it's also kind of funny. So we're gonna do a show about that on Wednesday night. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. Thanks everybody for dropping by again. Have a good rest of your evening, and we will see you guys again on Wednesday night.